The Cabana QR he forwarded by accident, the night the pool remembered our bodies. At 9:03 p.m., my phone blinked a permission it shouldn't have known I wanted. "Your cabana is ready, Julian," the text sang from a slick concierge number. "Scan the QR for rooftop pool, Cabana 6. Towels and chilled water provided. Hours: 9:30, 11:30 p.m. Underneath, the little square pixelated in and out like a heartbeat with better fonts. The forward at the top, fat thumbs, wrong chat, was from his number to mine. He'd left at 8 in the jacket that flatters him even when mirrors go evangelical. "Wrap toast," he'd said, 2 words that make celebration sound like minutes inside someone else's calendar. Then notes with Nico. "Don't wait." Nico does sound. He wears stillness like good cologne and carries microphones with the care of a man who expects them to confess. The cinnamon thing I'd set in the oven to prove I could be domestic even when I felt like smoke pretended to be a plan. The apartment's light climbed the wall in tidy squares and declined to narrate me. I set the phone face down the way we promised to on good mornings, then turned it over again because there's misbehavior and then there's form. Pixels steadied. Cabana 6 kept its cool. The Edda Hotel is the kind of place that hired an architect to teach water how to gossip. Brass behaves on the doors. The lobby deliberately smells like lemon, convincing ambition to sit. A pianist presses the absence of blame into every bar. The concierge looked at me with the professional mercy of someone who counts confessions like tips and spends neither in public. I flashed the QR because rectangles speak better than men at that hour. "Elevators through the garden," she said, warm as assumption. "The host will meet you on the roof." It was one of those nights when the city took its time choosing a temperature. Wind threaded itself into my collar as if I'd invited it. The elevator's mirrored walls wrote my name backward and attached a question mark I refused to argue with. 26 glowed, then opened on a view that had learned to stretch. The pool ran the length of the roof like a rumor. Glass balustrades encouraged the horizon to behave. Cabanas lined one side with their soft white curtains tied into forgiveness. A host in black cotton and restraint smiled at my QR and led me past a mural of midnight plants into the narrow aisle that hides from polite eyes. "Cabana 6 is yours," he said, as if truth could be reserved. When he parted the curtains, the little room inhaled. 2 rolled towels waited like patient mistakes. A bucket held a bottle that believed in itself. A low table carried an app's confidence. Beyond, the pool lights cut coins into the water. Beyond that, the city pretended not to have us. I didn't sit. Cabana roofs are intimate in the way lamps are suspicious. At the end of the aisle, where cabana lights fade into polite darkness, a lifeguard's chair melted into shadow. Through a gap in a different set of curtains, I could see him, the jacket off, shirt open 1 notch past daylight, bare feet convincing the tile to remember bodies. Nico stood half-turned, a hand in the pocket of pants that didn't apologize for their price, posture considerate enough to be mistaken for a promise. They were closer than I expected and farther away than I wanted. The kind of distance that becomes a lie if you keep it too long. I could have cleared my throat. I could have said his name. I stepped back into Cabana 6 and let the curtains close on the version of me that wanted the scene more than the truth. He was 2 minutes behind me. There is a half-second at the beginning of surprise where the truth shows up without its coat. I watched it arrive on his face, watched him try, politely, to return it. "Aaron," he said, my name with the softness of a receipt. "Your concierge is a relentless optimist," I said, because jokes are the leash I use to keep panic from bolting. I tilted the phone so the QR squared up in blue. It forwarded your evening to me. Nico stayed where he was, doing the most elegant thing a third person can do. He didn't move. The night did its small, approving shiver. Water thought about telling on us and practiced discretion instead. "Not here," Julian said, eyes flicking once to the camera puck mounted in the cabana's corner. He made the smallest tilt toward the far end of the deck, where the service stairs open to a little triangle of air the architects forgot to brand. "There's a spot by the scuppers. Wind has better manners over there." If you've never walked a pool deck in good shoes while your life learns a new tense, it feels like crossing letters out of a word you thought was permanent. Tiles collect commentary. The pool's edge kept murmuring proof of physics. We stopped where a brass drain sang quietly to itself. "I lied when I left," he said. "He doesn't decorate when he's decided to be correct." Rap happened. People used their best grammar on goodbye. Then I told myself I wanted 30 minutes where being interesting didn't need to pass inspection. "Nico," I said, "because names are handles and I like my hands full when the floor moves under me." He nodded. Nico remained at a distance that let air keep its job. He didn't apologize. He didn't audition. He let the building suffer our choices without offering it a line. "Are you sleeping with him?" The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You count to one and make your mouth earn its pay. "Not yet," he said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows exactly which muscle wants to bruise. "I brought my mouth." Wind moved the pool's surface in small right answers. The city looked away with choreographed tact. I lifted 2 fingers to the inside of his wrist, where men keep their apologies, and felt his pulse write me there without permission. His eyes closed like doors that expect hands. Under my palm, at the small of his back, the warm place where his body keeps its best arguments, heat had already made itself useful in the old ways. "You like wanting that proves something kindness can't," I said. "I didn't make it cruel. Cruelty is a lazy substitute for precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training." "You like to coach," he said. One corner of his mouth attempted a bad idea and failed politely. "Which is unfair and how we got this far." "What do you want?" I asked. "Now not the apology you wrote for Daylight." He stepped into the inch that had already decided to become a lie if we let it. Heat crossed cotton the way a city crosses its bridges after midnight. He spoke close enough that punctuation found my lower lip. "I want to go home," he said. "I want you to want me where our towels remember us and desire isn't billed by the hour." Behind us, a laugh broke too loudly from someone else's night and apologized to itself. Nico shifted his weight, oxygen management, not commentary. In the glass, our silhouettes looked thinner than truth. I used my mouth to fix the ratio. The first kiss wasn't hunger. It was relief, and relief is the kind of appetite you can escort through a lobby without asking strangers to pick a side. He leaned into it like a debt that finally liked its math. The pool light drew our outlines across tile and water, and decided not to tell. I stopped before the deck could pretend to be a witness. He kept his forehead near mine because punctuation outperforms grammar when air is cold. We turned. Nico had demonstrated the smart version of absence. The curtains at Cabana 5 breathed once like a living thing and learned stillness again. We didn't take the host's suggestion of a nightcap. Rhythm sometimes keeps people honest. The elevator wrote our names backward and did not insist on meaning. The concierge counted no one. Outside, the city decided against commentary, and I loved it for that. At home, the cinnamon had kept faith more fiercely than people deserve. We ate it with our fingers because forks would have lied. He leaned against the counter with the posture that means he is willing to be moved. I slid my palm back under his shirt and found heat like an address with my name on it. He tipped into me, gratitude making him heavy and precise. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it. He knows where to set his hand on my ribs so the rest of me turns without issuing a press release. I know where his shoulder hides when it doesn't want to confess, and how to coax it into telling the truth with weight and breath, and a mouth that has stopped trying to rescue him and still wants him. I won't give you choreography. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe, and morning forgave us because it had other work. We slept like people who weren't finished. Light shouldered the blinds in a way that pretended to be advice. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. I opened the window to see if Mercy could afford our rent. The QR still waited on my phone between us like a neat little witness with no sense of theater. He started with small truths because small truths keep larger ones upright. The notes had run long. Water made the city feel negotiable. Nico's attention had the grammar he'd wanted to try on. Then he ran out of script and said the part I could keep. He said he is tired of being interesting for a living, tired of being curated, captioned, archived. He said he wanted to be wanted like teenagers are, stupid, earnest, badly lit, forgiven in advance. He said he imagined my mouth more than once by that scupper and hated the math. He said he was sorry like a man who knows sorry is a tool, not an eraser. I didn't forgive him at the counter. Forgiveness is a daylight animal in morning's charge. I told him to put on the coat that doesn't belong to hotels and walk with me to the canal where water lies about Paris, and we let it. On the bench we like, pigeons performed competence. A runner's breath taught our bodies cadence we could afford. He hooked his thumb in my pocket like humility. I let him. 2 afternoons later, I saw Nico in a lobby that smelled like lemon and ambition. He gave me the nod men give when they've chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize and I didn't deputize. We shared an elevator mirror that wrote our names backward and didn't require us to translate. It isn't that we agreed. It's that we learned how to read ourselves both ways. The concierge keeps sending tidy confirmations in fonts that don't understand anything at all. I don't trust them or my inbox. I trust the square of light at 4 when it climbs our wall like an idea that finally put on shoes. I trust the heat under his shirt at the small of his back when my hand remembers its job. And if a hotel ever tries again to put my evening on a screen without asking, I'll do what I did the night the pool remembered us. Find air, choose kissing over theater, walk him home with my palm resting on the part of him that knows the address, and keep teaching our door, gentle, stubborn, local, to open from the inside.